Donald Trump has somehow reached a new level of derangement. I didn't really think it was possible for him to stoop any lower, but that is exactly what happened this morning as Donald Trump lost his mind over his fractured party, the Epstein files, and Democrats outmaneuvering him. He doubled down on his threats against the lives of members of Congress in an insane post which is clearly directed at Pam Bondi. Donald Trump is melting down at Bondi as his death threats have backfired, and we are going to get into it all. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we get into those posts and how Trump is freaking out at Bondi and about his term collapsing, I want to start with one of the Democrats who was attacked by Trump, calling him out this morning, and it was Jason Crow right here.
Let's get to the content of what you had in that video you released, because there are also 15 House Republicans who are also veterans who released a video, including a retired 3-star Marine Corps General, Jack Bergman. Take a listen to this.
Troops, listen up. Any service member who refuses a lawful order is subject to court-martial for violating the Uniform Code of Military Justice.
We study what's lawful and what's not lawful, and the Democrats' stunt insinuating that they're illegal or unconstitutional orders, it's downright dangerous.
It is corrosive. It is meant to weaken our country and weaken the military.
How do you respond to these allegations from your colleagues, fellow veterans, that what you have put out there is weakening and corrosive to the military?
Well, these unfortunately are some of Trump's core supporters that are rallying behind the president, and they know better. They know exactly the difference between lawful versus unlawful. We were very clear in the video that what we're talking about is unlawful orders. You have the president's spokesperson going into a press conference this past week and saying that we called for people to disobey lawful orders. They're simply lying because the truth is unacceptable to them.
I'm really glad that Congressman Crow, who throughout this entire term has been speaking out about Donald Trump's very deliberate undermining of the military, is continuing to do so. This isn't just about Trump freaking out that Democrats have instructed troops to disobey illegal orders, which if you're mad at someone for telling troops to not break the law, then you must think your side is about to break the law or is breaking the law, and that Donald Trump would instruct our military members to carry out illegal orders. So it's kind of a self-report there from the right, but he's been doing this throughout his entire term. So I'm glad Jason Crow is showing all of those examples, because Trump doesn't just want to undermine trust in the military. He wants to shift the perception of who they serve. It's why he got one of his billionaire oligarchs to write a $130 million illegal check, by the way, to the military, because Donald Trump wants you to think that the troops work for him, that he is the supreme commander, and that when he tells people, once again, that it's time to shoot protesters in the legs, that the troops are going to listen to him. It's a new level of derangement that we can see in the post that we're going to check out that AOC perfectly describes here.
To be honest, the president's remarks I think, indicate a level of instability. It's not just shocking, it's not just offensive, it's bizarre, it is erratic, it's volatile, and I think it indicates a mental state that we should all be questioning right now, whether that's emotional, mental, what have you. It is not normal to make these accusations. It is not normal to invoke these kinds of threats of violence. And it's also not normal to also dramatically misquote, as Carolyn Leavitt was doing, what these members of Congress said. They made a very clear message to U.S. service members, which is that you do not have to obey an illegal order. And I think that's an important message to reiterate, because this administration seems to be increasingly trying to go down that path.
It is a level of derangement that we have never seen before. I know that's difficult to say, considering that Trump has always had these authoritarian tendencies. He has always broken norms. He has always directed hate and violence, promoted it, excused it, supported it at every level of government. But this is a level of derangement, again, that just hasn't been seen before. It is very open, and that is purposeful, because Donald Trump wants us to think that if all of this stuff is just happening around us all the time, we'll become numb to it. We'll just go, oh, that's Donald Trump. Oh, this is going to keep happening. Oh, there's going to be political violence. But we can't allow ourselves to become numb to it. We have to point it out, and we have to talk about the source of it, which is Donald Trump's obvious cognitive decline, which is why he's been slipping up so much. Like, it was only a few weeks ago when he was posting a DM directly to Pam Bondi, accidentally to Truth Social, and now it looks like, according to Ron Filipkowski of Midas Touch, his posts this morning were doing just that. Trump wrote on Truth Social, many great legal scholars agreed that the Democrat traitors that told the military to disobey my orders as president have committed a crime of serious proportion. Trump then writes, the traitors that told the military to disobey my orders should be in jail right now, not roaming the fake news networks trying to explain that what they said was okay. It wasn't and never will be. It was sedition at the highest level, and sedition is a major crime. There can be no other interpretation of what they said. And Ron Filipkowski wrote, is he posting his DMs to Bondi again? And we remember that Donald Trump accidentally, only a few short weeks ago, posted a message pressuring Pam Bondi to charge his enemies on Truth Social. So Donald Trump is now saying that his enemies, these Democrats who are speaking out about Donald Trump's abuse of the military, that they need to be jailed. And he's not just tweeting seditious conspiracy and retweeting people. He's referencing these obscure and not actually factual legal theories of why that needs to be the case. So does this just sound like Donald Trump tweeting out into the abyss, or is this Donald Trump directing Pam Bondi once again? That tweet that he posted, the DM that was supposed to go to Bondi, he was using his little catchphrases like shifty shift. He was writing in all caps, and that was supposed to be a DM. So why wouldn't this all caps message that Donald Trump posted on Truth Social be an attack on Bondi, demanding that she prosecute these Democrats, demanding that she hold them accountable for, again, still not breaking the law, actually doing their jobs both as members of Congress and as veterans? But Donald Trump doesn't see it that way. So to me, and to Ron Filipkowski of Midas Touch, this is clearly Donald Trump, once again, furious with Pam Bondi that she hasn't been able to succeed in prosecuting his enemies, because she hasn't. The James Comey investigation, the James Comey indictment, the James Comey trial, it's all blowing up in their face because Donald Trump has the most idiotic people around him. It's the same with Letitia James. All of the mortgage fraud crimes that Donald Trump was trying to bring against Adam Schiff or Eric Swalwell, well, his own administration, members of his own administration, have now been caught in those very crimes, and they're being investigated. So of course Donald Trump would be furious with Pam Bondi that she hasn't been able to bring his enemies to justice. He's just embarrassed himself again and again and again. And in many ways, he's doing this because he's a furious fascist, but in others, it's because he doesn't want us talking about the other news of the week, which is that Donald Trump suffered the greatest defeat we have seen in the history of his presidency in the form of the passage of a bill to force the release of the Epstein files. And so Donald Trump is in complete freakout mode. And Alyssa Slotkin, one of the Democrats who was threatened, knows that and is calling it out, as well as calling out Donald Trump's meltdown and threats.
Well, I think almost immediately, the security situation changed for all of us. Leadership climate is set at the top. So if the president's saying things like that, you can imagine people on the ground, what they're doing, the calls into our office, et cetera, into our teams, the calling of police. I think I've been through dangerous situations before, so it doesn't change, my feeling about speaking my mind. But obviously, the president took issue with one sentence in a video and was calling for our death. I think that's inappropriate, whether you're a Democrat, Republican, or an independent.
The White House says President Trump wasn't threatening death, but thinks you and the other members are in serious trouble. Are you concerned about any of that? Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche said you should be held to account.
Look, I think there's no secret that the president is trying to weaponize the Justice Department. We've seen him do this many times with many different people already. Again, this is a tool of fear. He's trying to get us to shut up because he doesn't want to be talking about this. And in fact, I would argue that one of the things that he's been doing by repeating it and talking about it is trying to distract us from the big stories of last week, which were the Epstein files and then the economy. And I took note yesterday at 9 o'clock at night. He's tweeting that there's no inflation, the economy's the best it's ever been. It was kind of amazing considering that the American public isn't stupid. It actually reminded me of Joe Biden, right? Joe Biden tried to tell us for a year that the economy was great. Now this president, who ran on lowering costs for Americans.
But you changed the subject with that video as well.
Sure.
And here's what White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said about your video.
They're suggesting, Nancy, that the president has given illegal orders, which he has not. Every single order that is given to this United States military by this commander-in-chief and through this chain of command, through the Secretary of War, is lawful.
Is that an accurate statement?
So I think the reason we put that statement out is because the sheer number of, frankly, young officers who are coming to us and saying, I just am not sure. What do I do? You know, I'm in Southcom and I'm involved in the National Guard. I'm just not sure. What do I do? And I think, look, you don't have to take my word for it. We've had report after report of legal officer, JAG officers coming forward and saying, look, I push back on this. I'm not sure that this is legal. There is such things as illegal orders. That's why it's in the Uniform Code of Military Justice. Going back to Nuremberg, right? And it's a totally benign statement. And if the president is concerned about it, then he should stay deeply within the law. But I think it's important to know it's not hypothetical, right? This president in the last administration, his last administration, asked his Secretary of Defense and his chairman of the Joint Chiefs to, quote, shoot at their legs at unarmed protesters in front of the White House that he wanted moved.
Actually, I know you're talking about Mark Esper's book. He didn't exactly say that. He said the president suggested that, but they were never ordered to do that.
And he got out of the Oval Office quickly so that he wasn't told to actually do it. And I give him a lot of credit for that. I give him a lot of credit.
So let's talk right now. Do you believe President Trump has issued any illegal orders?
To my knowledge, I am not aware of things that are illegal, but certainly there are some legal gymnastics that are going on with these Caribbean strikes and everything related to Venezuela. And I think that's why...
And be specific about that. Let me read you what Senator Lindsey Graham said about your video. You owe it to the men and women in the military to be specific about what you are talking about. What these senators and House members did was unnerving, and it was unconscionable to suggest that the President of the United States is issuing unlawful orders without giving an example.
Yeah. So for me, my primary concern is the use of U.S. military on American shores, in our cities and in our streets. We've seen now the courts overturn the deployment of U.S. military into our streets, including here in Washington, D.C. When you look at these videos coming out of places like Chicago, it makes me incredibly nervous that we're about to see people in law enforcement, people in uniform military get nervous, get stressed, shoot at American civilians.
We know what he wants to accomplish. He wants to distract, he wants to shift attention, but he also wants us intimidated. And that is the last thing that we need to be. We need to be strong in standing up to Donald Trump. We are going to be on this show. I am hoping to have more of those Democrats who have spoken out against Donald Trump. We've had Jason Crow on the show a couple of times, but we're going to have more of those Democrats who are speaking out on the show. So if you want to tune in for that, if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. If you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. Keep on fighting, y'all. Don't let them silence you. Until next time, I'll see you soon.